Hello and welcome to Sex in the News. We are the Siegel Brothers. Tonight's stories will start with a piece about how condom sales are skyrocketing as vaccinated singles are getting ready for a summer of sex. We're then going to talk about another Biden policy shift, ending the policy that was put in place denying citizenship to children of same-sex couples who were born abroad. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what dog testes can tell us about human infertility. So, our first one is actually, it's a good one. It's some good news for once, right? It's been a while.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this predicted disappointment that there wouldn't be a post-COVID baby boom, sex party, screwing in the streets. But condom sales do appear to be picking up after a severe slump during the pandemic.
Indeed, and they're looking at just March and April. Condom sales across the United States have increased almost 24%. And that is definitely seen as a good sign, and is a phrase that people have been using that I really kind of like. Sort of getting ready for, they're calling it the hot vax summer, as more and more people are coming out. And I read another related story, statistically, and I think this was even data collected by Match.com, believe it or not, but saying something like 71% of single people have reported not being sexually active this past year, right, with COVID. So now that more and more people are getting vaccinated, we're starting to see that kind of opening back up. People are looking forward to, a hot summer, which is really good. And I think in related news, it's not just condom sales, but sex toy sales have also increased something like 40%.
Wow.
So I think we might be getting back on track, as it were, sexually.
There may be some parties coming up this summer.
Indeed. So I think, to your point about the post-COVID baby boom, I think that what didn't happen is that people were shutting in and quarantining and staying indoors having sex. Now that they're coming back out, they're having sex. Nice. And I think that's kind of the trend that we're going to see. So we may actually see that baby boom yet, although maybe not, because again, we're talking about condom sales increasing.
Yeah. Increase in condom sales is a good sign that we will hopefully not have so many unintended babies.
Right. Absolutely.
Very good.
Right? So so that's good. Something to look forward to. Yeah. This is also, I think, good news. It's a shame that so much time and energy with the Biden presidency and the administration has to be spent cleaning up 4 years of mess. Right?
Just like Obama had to clean up a lot of Bush's mess. But this is a good turnaround, right? Yeah. The previous policy from the Orange 45 administration was that same-sex couples who had surrogate conceived through surrogate partners or surrogate donors, sperm or egg donors, could come home and, like normal people, have a family until policy was passed that the babies born of these arrangements could not be granted U.S. citizenship.
Right, and in fact, they were treated as out of wedlock children because part of the orangutan's policy was it's using one of the male partners. Again, if we're talking about the male couples, using one partner's sperm for the surrogate. And for female couples, it was obviously going to be one of the partners' bodies that would have been carrying that. Right. And what they were doing is saying one biological parent.
Citizen.
Right? Well, what they're saying that this is a couple with one biological parent, so they don't acknowledge the child as the child of a family entitled to citizenship.
It's just hatred.
And that's really all it is.
Hatred.
You know, and you know, got to call that stuff out. And for most conservatives and most Republicans, all of these sort of anti-fill-in-the-blank bills, anti-trans bills, anti-gay bills, anti-child bills, it's just cruelty. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
It's cruelty and inhumanity. And I think the most grotesque part is that most of these people hide behind the banner of being Christian.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, you know, and again, this, if you ever wondered, and I know people debate this or not, but to me, this is proof that there is no God. Because if there was a God, these people would burst into flames. They would be struck down.
Well,
All right? And they continue to go. And they continue to pass these kinds of laws. So.
Another surprising piece of good news from a Christian church.
Yeah, and actually, this we didn't mention at the top. This is a good one.
It was, surprising to read that the Lutheran church in the United States has elected Megan Rohrer as their first openly trans bishop in a major Christian denomination.
Yeah, and you know, she also, I think, was, you know, through the same church as the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and I think she was also the first ordained transgender pastor.
Yeah,
who is now the first bishop.
Several years ago, I don't remember exactly how many, but when the Episcopal Church ordained Gene Robinson as the first openly gay bishop in the Episcopal Church, the African half of the so-called Anglican Church said, not our church, and they literally split from the American Episcopalians because they refused to accept that there could be a gay bishop. It's unfortunate, but
Right.
this is progress. Lutherans, Episcopalians are typically, the reputation is that they're typically more liberal. From our experience here in South Florida, Lutherans have not been especially liberal, so this is nice to read.
Indeed. Especially in the wake of all of these anti-trans bills and you know, all of these just anti-sexuality type of bills, dehumanizing efforts that have been put out there, especially directed toward trans people. So this is a really nice bright spot. That especially an institution like the Lutheran Church is actually acknowledging that trans people are human.
And can hold positions of leadership.
That's right.
In the church.
That's right. And they don't make God cry. Right? And that's really a new script for so many of them. Right?
So here's a headline we don't often get to read on Sex in the News.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, have the honors.
Well, the honor, I kind of mentioned already, you know, what dog testes tell us about human fertility. Didn't think that we'd be able to spotlight dog balls, but I think it's about time, right? That dog balls have their day. But this is really interesting, and I think this is sort of a practical step in how we understand environmental health.
Right.
You know, we're looking at dog balls as that proverbial canary in the coal mine, right?
Almost.
Much more accurately than a canary would be in this case. So again, what we're really looking at here and what these researchers were doing was measuring levels of toxin in dog testes. And the reason that became very, very important is because, first of all, dogs have a very, very similar reproductive system as humans.
We tend to live in the same places.
And we share an environment.
We share a home.
Exactly.
We breathe the same air. We're exposed to the same chemicals.
That's right. So I love the term that researchers are now looking at dogs as a sentinel species, which means that they can portend things that we may need to be aware of before they happen. We share the environment, so the toxins that they're taking in are the same toxins that we are taking in. So by looking at the levels of toxins, particularly affecting fertility and looking at the fertility status in dogs, we've been able to kind of understand a lot about what we're faced with right now.
And, a thought just occurs to me, since, the late, great George Carlin reminded us that pet ownership is a planned tragedy, right? Because we do know how long they live. We know going in. But if dogs do live 12, 14, 15 years, and perhaps if they did a little examination of their testes, it might give a snapshot of their male owner's future testicular health.
It could.
Right?
Absolutely.
15-year-old dog is probably, 7 years? So 50-something-year-old human? Maybe.
Yeah,
right?
Could be. We never know.
We'll see. Keep an eye on those dog balls for more news to come.
That's right. And we'll send you to a math class. Now, our last piece is...
we don't know what to do with this one.
Really not sure what to make of this. This kind of falls into the category of WTF. Right? Now, it sounds at first like, again, and it really is, to be clear, this is very serious.
Good police work.
All right, a Manchester man, this is Manchester, New Hampshire, a Manchester man gets 252 months for filming young girls with a hidden camera in his bathroom. Now, that's a headline. Right? Now, that kind of takes us in one direction.
Raises a lot of questions.
Okay? But what is not really clear from that is that he was under investigation for quite a while because of sharing child pornography on the internet.
I want to know how this guy had 252 girls.
No,
in
he
his
didn't have
apartment.
252 girls.
Oh,
right? He was sentenced to
252
252 months.
I see. Okay.
There was actually...
How many young girls was he video recording?
It's kind of hard. They don't really know. When the cops were interviewing him and they asked him how much, is it hundreds? Is it in the thousands? And his response was, I think it's less than 1,000. Right? But the confusing thing about this is that he had a hidden camera in his bathroom and in the bathroom of his motorhome. And he was secretly, had like an alarm clock right by the shower and right over the toilet. So it looked like an alarm clock. It was a hidden camera. And when apparently, this is the mystery, these girls that were using his bathroom and his shower in his apartment and in his motorhome. Now, this is a 53-year-old guy, right? Glenn Lanchester in Manchester, New Hampshire. Now, the girls that he was taking pictures of and posting were between the ages of 7 and 15. Right? Now, the one thing I have not been able to find in my investigation of this is, how did these girls end up in his bathroom? Right? What was going on? Where was this happening? That little girls between 7 and 15 are showering in his motorhome, are using the bathroom in his apartment? I have not been able to find an explanation, and that is the WTF. Right? All this other stuff
from
aside,
Manchester.
right?
You're a
Again,
mystery to us.
It really is. It really is. But at least we got something to talk about. But it's again, his arrests were on the child porn charges, right? That he was putting on BitTorrent, one of those old file sharing websites, but have absolutely no information about how those girls came into his camper or his apartment to use the bathroom.
Specifically the shower.
Yeah. Right? So, WTF. And on that note, that will do it for another episode of Sex in the News. We are the Siegel Brothers. Thanks for joining us. Stay well.